look back later and enjoy. Um, awesome. 10 people. Who's the 10th person? And the two, oh, there's two Joeys. All right. Got an extra. Um, cool. I'm excited to see what we got in whatever state it is. I'm just gonna go down the list, I guess, and we'll get right to it. So first up is gonna be Charlie with I didn't write down what it was, just where it is. Oh, the Pokemon locator. All right, yeah.
I think I've gone first 3 out of the 4 times so far, maybe actually 4 from 4, which is fine. I don't mind. It's just,
Yeah, you're just
uh,
first on the list, so
yeah, I don't care. It's fine with me. Okay, crap. So, I ended up not doing the Pokemon. Okay, sorry. I need to do this. There's a reason it was on the other screen. Okay. So I originally wanted to do like a thing where you can look up like where you're going in like this game. Like you want to catch like a certain Pokemon. So like you can look up where you want to go, like what locations it's going to be in. And then I, started off on that and realized that the what was coming back was just not at all. It just wasn't really going to work in the way that I had expected. And so I kind of just shifted to just doing like kind of like a basical like Pokedex app. And so, yeah, basically, so, you've got all these Pokemon and you can kind of sort through them by, by page. Oops. There's a lot of bugs because I missed a lot of things, but so it was a learning experience. So, I kind of tried to make these look like Pokeballs, and it kind of worked. But so basically, you can click on it, and another problem I ran into was that the images that they gave me back from the API were like 200 by 200 pixels at the very largest, and so they just kind of look like shit, honestly. So it is what it is. So you can check out your certain Pokemon. You can like check out all these moves that he's got and see their base stats and what the shiny one looks like too. And then you can be like, oh, I want to add Charmander to my team. So you click on the little I choose you button, and he did not get added. Okay. Usually works. Anyways, here's your team, and it's got their name, their entry number, their ability, and it's got the moves that they were taught. So I'm gonna go back to here. We're gonna on Charmander again. So you can see all the moves that Charmander can learn in the game, and what level they learn them at, or like where you get them from. So let's say we want to teach, or let's try and add him. See, it worked that time. Anyways, so you want to teach Charmander Fire Punch, let's say. So you can go click on the move, and it takes you. And again, bug, half of my background is there. I couldn't figure that one out in time. It shows move stats and some flavor text. It's type, and you're like, oh, teach it to Charmander. So you teach Fire Punch to the Charmander. It does like, post request, all that, and adds the move there. Shows up under the known move section. And then you can, oh, he's there twice. And then you can be like, oh, I don't want to know this move anymore. You can click it. You can kick him off your team, and it'll update like that. You'd be like, oh, I don't want this Pokemon. And obviously there's like a login feature as well, so you can sign up, be like, sign up, and then it won't show you a team because you don't have a team yet. So it is by user, and then missing something there clearly because it doesn't want to add it on the first try, but it does add it to your team, and that's by user. And yeah, that's about all I got.
cool. Got some colorful stuff in there. Awesome. What kind of So we've got some bugs there. Which ones do you feel like you would be able to address, like given an extra week?
Honestly, all of them. It was kind of like, it's Thursday night. This is working to the extent that I'm going to be able to show it off. Like, I'm just going to leave it. And the post requests, honestly, actually, that's like a Heroku thing, because on my local dev environment, they were functioning exactly how I wanted them to, and they were showing up right away. So actually, that was the first time that I saw that. So I don't know what's up with that one.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's
What
that's
were
it.
what were the things that you struggled the most with as you were like, what are the things that held you up the most developing?
It was definitely just the way that, like, I came in with a certain idea of what I wanted to do, and the way that the data came back, and just like the way that I was thinking about going around things just totally did not work. So I spent all of Monday getting the login feature to work, because just got that off off the board. And then on Tuesday, I got like essentially nothing done, because I was sitting there trying to think of how I can make my original um, idea work. But the problem was, it was like they had location data, but the location data was its entire own URL. So like every single thing, each thing was listed like, just like, there were like 30 URLs for the locations, and I didn't know how to do like the fetch requests like that. I'm fetching from the Poke API to populate the details and some stuff, but once you get into like the moves and the team, that's from my back end.
Cool.
I definitely ended up doing a lot more front end stuff than back end stuff, because I was trying to work with the data I had, and then I just kind of got ran away with it.
Nice. Cool. Other questions? Awesome. Cool. Good stuff. Sweet. Let's see what Mr. Bab has for us. The EverQuest Guild manager thing. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so what I wanted to do is I have a friend that plays a game called EverQuest that's super old, but they get together a few times a week and they do these things called raids. So what a raid is they get together with like 40, 50 people and they go and they kill like big monsters, dragons, things that couldn't be killed by a small group. So let me see if I can screen share here. So the complication was trying to figure out how they wanted to record the data and have it all put together and do the tracking and all the calculations that go into it. Where's the screen share thing here? Why am I not seeing it? There it is. So as you can see, I have this list of people. This is all done from a seed. My seed was pretty basic. Mostly it was just to figure out the calculations, and the first line is the one that I have done most of the manipulations on. The complications that I ran into were that calculating how much of a raid that somebody attended. So if somebody shows up to a raid late, or they leave early, or they have multiple check-ins or checkouts, that's where I got hung up. It actually took me almost 2 days to figure out how to calculate that change. So what it does is it actually looks at how many raids are possible over 30 days and 90 days based off of points, and it calculates check-ins and check-outs, because there can be more than one. It can start with a check-in or it can start with a check-out, and then it has to figure out whether or not the beginning of the raid was the first check-in, or if there was a check-in after that, and then where the last check-out was, and calculate the time periods between them if there were multiples. So on the first line, you can see that I did calculate out a differentiation because this person didn't attend a full raid. So they got less attendance than everybody else because all the other seeds were just left as is. And I only have them seeded into one raid, which there's a possible of 3,000 points because I have 10 raids seeded with 300 points each. So anyways, from there, I created an admin panel. I don't have any logins or anything yet. I was still trying to put together the admin panel. It does pull the date that is the current date, so you can create a raid on that day, put the raid name, and the start time and end time are formatted and forced, so you can only put in 24 hours a day. If you try to put in 25, it doesn't let you, or like start with a 4, 5, 6, it won't let you, but you can do 12, 15, and I was going to do a comparison so it doesn't let you do the start time or the end time late before the start time, which wouldn't make sense. But I didn't get to that point either. For players, it feeds in all the players that are available on inside the system. The events were working yesterday, but for some reason they're not seeding in right now. But it does organize them, and it shows you what existing players are in the system so that you can add or remove them if you want to. If you want to remove somebody, say we want to remove, these are all Rick and Morty names, but I don't know if anybody knows Rick and Morty, but let's say we'll remove Adolf Linkler, he actually drops out. We'll remove both of them. Oh, and of course now it does work. Let's refresh. Oh, is it not working? There we go. Okay, so it does remove them out of the list if you remove players. If you add them, for some reason it doesn't add from this list. I think I needed to redevelop this part, but you can add players to the list as well. You can change their member status and then add them, and they should come up in here. New player. So it does come up in here. For some reason, this, like I said, doesn't update, but I have it all sorted by name. You can add all the people to the raid or remove them all, or add singles by double clicking or clicking the remove or add. Oh, now the events are showing up, of course. Same with the events, you can add or remove them, and that's pretty much as far as I got. I still need to be able to add loot to events. I think that I just need to do a partial redesign on the way that I envision this admin panel to be able to apply certain things to all my data points. But there are a raid data point which shows you any information that belongs to the raid, like players, when it was created, what loot was actually given on that raid. Also, you have your events, which show what loot was on that actual event, which is just like an enemy that they killed. You have your players, and it shows what loot that belongs to that player, how much they spent on it, and which raids they attended, and how many points they got for them. So I do have several data points in the back end, and I also have the error checking in place so that it says that whether or not something is found or not. There's also error checking on like deletes and other things. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got at this point.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot to tackle. There's still a lot to be done.
Did you say that you didn't get the login stuff working?
I did not. I was trying to get the ability to add a raid, which had a lot of data points that shared between the raids and all the other things that were in the back end.
Mhm.
So I wasn't able to actually get around to that point.
Cool. Awesome.
All
Yeah, you clearly know where you're going with that, so I'm not gonna ask that question. What I guess again, what part like took a lot longer than you thought it was going to?
Just the data calculations, mostly the check-in and check-outs, because there was so many logical differences between what could be possible. So like, for instance, if there was only one check-in or out and it was a check-in, then I need to remove the beginning of the time and go from that check-in as the first check-in and then calculate it to the end of the raid. Versus like if there's two, if there was a check-in and a check-out, then it's just calculated between those two data points. But if there's three, then it starts to get hairy. So I have like 60 lines of code that figure out the logic between those check-in and check-outs. But once I got it down, it wasn't terrible, but yeah, it was a bit to wrap my mind around.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how did you organize that code, if at all? Like, did you just like throw it in the controller, or did you?
I just threw it in the controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just all in that main page. It just goes through, figures out all the logic, and then dumps all that data out to that page.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I figure that I'll clean that up
Mhm.
at some point, but as of now, I just wanted to get it working.
Yeah.
So
Roll.
like Charlie got like given another week, I'd probably be able to not only clean up that code, put together the logins, and make the admin panel work, which would kind of couple the two items together.
Yeah, stuff like that is it really is a little tricky to manage, because once you get past like basic CRUD stuff, like, do I put that in a controller? Do I make that part of the data model? Do I like write a gem to handle that and put it in a separate library? Like, there's a lot of design decisions that need that. But yeah, that's cool stuff. Other folks have questions? Cool. Awesome. Love to see it. Next up is the other Chris with an event planner calendar.
All right. I also had like, all these different ideas going into it, and was like brought down to earth pretty quickly. And I think given for the amount of time we had, and I think, given more time, I definitely could have finished some stuff out, and I definitely learned a lot about my personal workflow. So I was able to do the auth and everything. This is the landing page, also the login page, and you can sign up. I haven't built out a lot of I didn't do any validations. So I actually forgot what I made this password right now. So I have some validations, I guess, but I'll do mine for now. So you can sign in, and then this is the calendar that it brings you to. It has all these different views. Has like a broken down by time view, a week view, and a month view. And then it takes you back to today. And then at the top here, there are different tabs, and it lets you go in. And my thinking was to be able to add a lot more data that would only show up when needed. So like a bunch of extra details about the events, or whatever, you'd only get it by going into the event itself. So there's a lot of really cool components that I found, and added this all. Like, these are all like text inputs. This isn't actually a form. And then each one of these is their own table. And then and that's as far as I got. So the problem I ran into is like this calendar component was, it's older. I always forget how new a lot of these technologies actually are, where like functional based components are like only years old. So like this whole calendar component is class based, and classes don't use hooks. So when I went in, I was like, okay, where do I put my use effect to get all my events to populate this calendar? So what I actually had to do is I had to refactor the entire calendar to a functional based component. Well, the other problem I ran into is actually putting the events and having them render in a nice way is set up for state to be in a class-based component. So now I'm refactoring state from using, this dot date to being like an actual like use state. And then on top of that, I used recoil for my whole app. So like the login state, the date, the time, all of that stuff is stored within atoms. Recoil is awesome. I think if I have two components sharing state, I will probably just use recoil from now on. I love it. But So right now I have like all the tables I wanted, all the database, but like actually like using that information and taking the events and like populating them onto the calendar. Like I that's what I would do next. I would easily be able to get that done within a week. I had a lot of fun working on this. I spent more time than I'd like to admit with like auth and getting that all set up. That was like a solid 2 days. And I think I really need to figure out how I want to approach things, because I'm usually pretty organized, but what would happen is like, oh, I can sign in. Okay, I'm onto the calendar. Okay, the calendar's there. Okay, I'm gonna go like make my events thing. And then it's like, okay, events are done. I'm gonna do, this form. And then it's like, wait, I haven't done any of my validations for my sign in. It's like, I don't really want to go back to that yet because I still have so much to do. And then it's like, I'll go back to my calendar and maybe finish that out. It's like, well, I haven't finished like putting the event thing together. So I think, I need to, in my mind, come up with like I have to raise the bar for what the baseline of, or what finished actually is, before moving on to the next component. And I think really thinking out how they're all going to work together a little bit more will give me, kind of a better way to approach these projects. So
Yeah, that self project management is a big part of like learning how to do that. And that's why like spending a little bit of time up front, like some people did it more and some people did it less, but with the like make sure you have a good list of user stories, make sure your wireframes look good, all that stuff, so that like you can go through the things and be like, I'm just going to work on this story today, or however that works out for you. One thing that we don't really teach here at all, which I'm really mad about, is writing tests. When I'm being good, I find it really useful to like write a bunch of tests up front, like write user stories, write tests that would exercise those stories that all fail, and then write code until my tests pass. And when my tests pass, I'm done, or I need to write more tests. But yeah, that's something we don't hit at all, and I keep yelling about it, and we'll see if it eventually gets in. But yeah.
I heard a good analogy, and it was like, when an architect builds a building, they use math to make sure it's not going to fall down and kill everybody. Well, and like computer programmers use tests, and that's their math and way to like, make sure things work. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. But yeah, that's it. That's my thing.
Awesome. Looks great. Yeah, so components are calendaring, and like anything to do with dates is always like 10 times more complicated than it feels like.
It really is.
So yeah, great job.
This date picker and getting the actual value out of it and then like sending it to where it needs to go is intense.
That's great. I love it. Let's see. Up next is Joey, who I also didn't write down what it was. Joey's is book review social media platform. Yeah.
Is it?
Woo. Oh, you got your two windows open there. I think you got to mute one.
Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah, I've got two computers. One because the one I work on, the camera doesn't work. Let's see here. Okay, can everyone see? Okay, so I was a little bit sick earlier this week on Monday and Tuesday, so I didn't get as much time on this that I wanted to. So bear with me, it's a little bit incomplete, but my goal was to make like a social media site for books and book reviews. So this is essentially the home feed. You've got your login in the top right, where you can come in and log in. Pretty simple, straightforward. Takes you back. What I didn't get to is when I wanted to log in, it does post on the back end for signups, but I wanted to make it so that there's a little icon in the top right, and then it says it changes from login to log out. that's probably something I could have gotten to if I got another day to work on it. And then you also have your sign up feature. If you go to sign up and then you plug in all your information. So I made 3 different tables, one for books, one for reviews, and one for users. Each card has the image, the title, author, description, and then it has this little Amazon icon. If you click on it, it'll take you, I can't see this. It'll take you to the Amazon website where you can look at it. And then down below, it'll say each, I manually input all this data. I didn't pull it from a backend, a separate API. And then I plugged in all this user data with the names. I just used the Faker gem. So that's where you see all these names from. And then you can go ahead and post your book in here if you wanted to add a new one. I gotta pull this down because I can't see it. But let's say we wanted to add this book. You just need to grab all the information. Already on description, image link, and Amazon link, and then it'll post. Then you got to refresh the page here, and then it should post to the bottom of the feed right here. And then if you wanted to delete it, you just click this delete button, and then you got to refresh it again, and it'll be gone. But something that I didn't really get to that I really wanted to is for the reviews table, I didn't get to display that. So my goal was that once you logged in, you would get access to the reviews and the ratings, so that once you're logged in, you have access to clicking on each card, and then you could see it would have either taken you to another page, or it would have just flipped the card and you can see users' reviews and their ratings for it. But that's just something that I didn't get to. If I had another week, I probably would have done that. And then my About Us page, I was going to make like a little like overview of who I am, but I just did my LinkedIn. So, but yeah, that's about it.
Nice, super straight up.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so you also didn't get a login.
Oh,
or is that
for the CSS, I used Tailwind CSS. I kind of taught myself it as I went.
Yeah.
Something really cool is that like when you stretch this down, the cards change, and if you look at the nav bar up top, all the tabs, once it gets small enough, it'll collapse into, why is it doing it, this little hamburger patty.
Nice.
And then my computer's being really slow, and then it'll pop up and down. So
Cool.
Tailwind, I actually like it a lot more than Material UI because the code looks a lot cleaner, and you don't need to import a million things at the top of each file. So I'm probably going to be using Tailwind CSS from now on.
Cool. If you were going to keep working on this, what would you work on next?
Probably that reviews section. I didn't get to display any of it. And maybe add another tab where you can look up users and you can see that each review that they've posted, or each comment on what book or what books they've posted themselves. So that would probably be 2 things that I'd add.
Nice. Other questions? Sweet. What's great? Let's see who's up next. Kota. I have written down blog sports, which is probably reductive. But what do you got?
So yeah, let me just share my screen. Yeah, I also kind of had like a time crunch this week because I actually started school again. So that's something I knew, but I didn't realize that that's a big time load on both parts. So yeah, let me get this. So yeah, this is my app. The idea was kind of a place. It was supposed to be more like social media, but ended up just being like a blogging website, and where you can post blogs and comment on blogs. But I was kind of trying to cater to like an audience where like just casual people could just write about sports, and like it doesn't have to be that serious. But so yeah, yeah, the first part I'm already logged in, but this is I have the login feature. And yeah, I worked a little bit on like validation. So like, I think it doesn't look that case. So if you like change it, then it works. This is like the main page where their feed. You can like sort it by, or it's not working right now, but yeah, you can sort it by like different sports. I only have like a bunch of the same posts for the Cowboys, but yeah, you can go into a post, or you could create a post like I don't know, Michael Jordan GOAT, and then I just had a paragraph right here. So yeah, you can just post, and then it sends you to where your blogs are, and then if you go to the main blogs, NBA, oh, that's not working, but it should. Your post is right here. You can go to your post. You can comment on your own post, and other people can comment, and it shows like what the user who commented on it. And another feature I worked on was like the like button, which like you can like your own post, but you can like it, and but you can't like it more than once. So you either like it, and then if you like it and then you go back, it should still be there, and then you can unlike it. So I try to work on that feature where it's like more realistic. But yeah, I think that's everything I got through.
Nice. What is up on your list of stuff to do next if you're gonna keep working on this?
Definitely the like thing isn't like completely like the dislike. I think it goes up. I wanted it so that if you like it, then the dislike would go away, and like if you dislike it, the like how it works in like a lot of websites. So I couldn't get that logic figured out fully. I guess just I was gonna have a landing page, but I didn't have time to work on that either, and just maybe getting the data like more categories and just have it built out where it looks like a actual website and not have every post say Dallas Cowboys on it and stuff like that.
Sweet. Is that Lauren? Is that question for Coda about the material?
I can't see the chat.
Oh, did you use Material UI for the forums and stuff?
Yeah. Everything is Material UI. I was thinking about learning something else, but I just didn't feel like I had the time this week. So yeah.
Cool. Looks great. Speaking of Lauren, you are up next. Rattle Trails.
Okay, give me 1 second. All right, are we good? Cool. Okay, so I'm a big hiker in Colorado, so I decided to do something with trails in Colorado. It's sort of like all trails. I kind of want to just showcase all the trails, and I didn't get to a lot of things. I was working on like the vertical slices. I really only got to like my first vertical slice, so I'm pretty proud about that. So yeah, So you come on in and you have all your trails listed here. I couldn't figure out material UI, so I just built this nav bar by hand, and then these cards are just HTML that I put in there. But you can explore, you can kind of filter with, you know, like what town you're in. These are all my favorite trails. So I live near like Fort Collins and Boulder, so I just put some in there. And then once you filter through, you can, I put a little navigation icon down here. So once you click on it, it will redirect you to the national parks page. So it has like the weather and like the maps for whatever trail and some more information about that trail. And then if you want to add a little like here, it does a patch request to the backend that will persist. And then I didn't get to my review, but I wanted it to just render all the reviews right here. So when you hit create a review, you could, you know, here's your form. It's not working right now, but that's what I would work on next. That's what I got kind of stuck on, was kind of seeding that data. And I had only done like a one-to-many relationship. So I was trying to do a many-to-many relationships. I had like 3 tables, and that was kind of giving me some trouble. So that's what I would work on next, yeah. And then I wanted to be able for the user to create a new trail. So I kind of created a form quickly, but that would be my next thing, is to hook that up so I can do that, create as well. But that's as far as I got. I'm actually really proud of myself for like what I've done. I spent like all Monday just trying to like create the app from scratch, which took a really long time. But yeah, I think the funnest part I had was actually just doing the wireframe and planning everything, like how I wanted it to look, all the features and everything like that. And then I wanted it to be like something that I could be able to do. So I wanted to keep it more simple. But yeah, I'd say like my next, you know, work path would be to keep chugging along those vertical slices and do the reviews and also the login.
Nice. Yeah. Like Chris has in chat, working on one thing at a time is super hard for some brains. Yeah, although I say I preach it, very often we'll get distracted and be like, okay, I'm going to do login, but I'm going to get distracted and do styling here and then scrape some data over here. And then, yeah, it's.
Yeah, you can get ahead of yourself really easily and then get confused on like, what did I just do? So
yeah. Where am I?
Right.
Awesome. Looks great for whatever you, however far you think you got. It looks like you got pretty far to me. So that's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, good stuff. Any questions for Lauren? Cool. Looks like it's Chinese poker time with Shippy.
It's gonna be not that, but we're gonna play some. We are gonna play some games though, so
Nice.
that's good. Is this the right screen? Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I mean, similarly to everyone else, I had a multitude of weird problems pop up. One problem, like there's 2 that are major. One fully prevented me from hosting, and I'm not entirely sure what happened there. And then just other various things. Got login working like everyone else, so we can do mark. And then passwords. Building out, like getting this little icon to work was kind of tricky, but was able to get it. And then once you're logged in, again, it was set up initially to play Chinese poker, which had like a lot of problems with it. And one of them was like, I don't know how to log 2 people into the same session to play a game at the same time. And once I realized that like building a 2-player game was going to be real tricky, I kind of just was like, well, can I get a 1-person card game to work? Can I get a single game to work? But it welcomes you in, and then, you know, you can play some games. So the 2 games that are working is we have Memory. Everybody loves this game. And being web developers is great because we can cheat. and you can inspect this card and you can see the image that's behind it. So if you really wanted to beat this game as fast as possible, you could certainly cheat. But it works exactly how you think it is. You're just trying to match the two photos, and then when you do have a match, they'll stay up until you complete the game. It'll keep track of the number of turns it takes you to finish, and then when you're done, you can play another round. So, you know, great for children or people that are easily entertained. And then you can start over and it'll reset. The other game that we got working was Casino War, which is basically just flipping over the top card of your deck and your opponent's deck and comparing them. And then whoever won the round will get the cards added to their deck, and the other person will get the card removed from their deck. And this was where I had an issue pop up. I don't have it logging anymore, but the way that I built the deck of cards in the card class, I'm basically mapping through the deck to build the cards with the card constructor. And that's how these two decks of 26 cards are getting created. But they're being displayed by their suit and their value is how this appears. But when I push that card back into the deck to like make this change, it's not pushing this object, it's pushing a card constructor. So when we get to what would be the end of 26 cards, which is what the decks are initially constructed with, we get this major blowout error that breaks the whole program. And I'm not entirely sure how to solve that. So that's like the next step to try and fix. And then I would just continue to try and build out other games. And that's it.
Cool. That's awesome. Games are another thing that are like 10 times harder than you think they're going to be.
It's
all sorts of stuff
pretty
like,
miserable.
how do I make a deck of cards? Oh, that's a whole lot of computer science. There's lots of
I think building the deck of cards it ended up being okay, and like shuffling it and getting it randomized wasn't that bad. But like I just don't understand why, like when it pushes back into that original array, it's pushing, I don't know, it's really weird. It's bizarre. I don't understand why it's working the way that it is, and I would love to try and figure it out.
Yeah, take a look through it. Yeah, great. I have no questions. Anyone else have questions? Cool, good stuff. And let's wrap it up with Victoria. What's on the menu?
Okay, let me see. All right, can we see this website? Yes, okay. All right, well, okay, well, this site is, the whole concept was for it to be like a web app where users can come to the page, they can view restaurants that are like featured on this site in like a view only kind of setting, and then you can log in to an account where you can either be a user or have admin privileges and be like an owner of the restaurant. So I'll walk through what those different features look like. I will give a heads up. This whole thing, I really was like prioritizing like making it work and not making it look good. So it might be really displeasing to the eye on a few pages, but yeah. So okay. So anyway, so you come to the site and you can see there's currently 4 restaurants featured on the site. You can click them by their title to be able to see. Oh, okay. Okay, let me just refresh this. Sometimes this is on the Heroku. Okay. This usually works. Okay. Okay, let me try this again now. Okay, so if you come here, okay, yeah. So I had like an error handling where you see that flash of that loading. So like if like the in state is not, it's like undefined, and it shows a loading page until it is. Anyway, so when you click on it, now we're here at Jerry's Seafood Restaurant, and there's a list of current menus and then a list of reviews. So obviously this is all meant to be styled better, but when you click on the menu, it does work that it loads the current menu for their lunch menu, and then they have courses included, as well as the items per course and their description and how much they cost. Let's go back here. And then so if we log in, I'm first going to log in as a user without admin privileges. I had some seeded data to make this work. And when you hit login, it takes you right back to the homepage, and you can see, let's go here. If you go back to the restaurant page, then when you are a user without admin privileges, you have the opportunity to add a review. When you click add a review, you can enter in something. And then you can give a rating from 1 to 5, but it only allows you to go up to 5. I put like some like validations there. Let me see. Just put something here, and we're gonna leave the review as John. So when we hit submit, then it takes us back to that homepage. I thought it would take us back to the review page, but take us back to the homepage, and you can see the review that we just had. Also, when you view the menus, you can still only view them in a view only method. Now log out. It logs us out, and if you go back into login, and now we're going to log in as a admin. So Robert logging in is Jerry, who is the owner of Jerry's Seafood. So now when you log in, this my restaurant button will pop up, and by clicking on that, then we come into like a management page where I can see my current menus. You can add a new menu. Let's say like Saturday special, and add, and then so it adds it to the list. Of course, like I need to style this stuff. It looks kind of not very nice, but we can also remove this menu by clicking on remove. And if we click on the edit menu, then we go over into the specific menu, and then you have the option to do a lot of things. You can edit any element of each item. You can delete an item. Every course, you can like rename your course and save it as like an update, or you could delete it. And then at the top here, you can add a new course. So yeah, so that's a big jumbled form that needs to be also looking nice. That was definitely a goal of mine. And I'll continue to work on that. Let me see here. And then, and then if we log out and you go back to login, you do have an option if you don't have a account that you can sign up as a new user. And let's say, and then I have a checkbox here, which is like, are you a restaurant owner looking to use our services? If you check it, then it would assign your admin privileges to being true. And if you leave it blank, then you're just being a user to be like a view only or like leave a review capability. So we'll just leave it blank and we go create account, and then it does take you back to the homepage. Yeah, so that's about it. There's a lot of like functioning things going on here. I guess I didn't demo it, but like all of the form elements are working. Like all of the like post, patch, delete, all that stuff is working, but it needs to look good. So my goal for this was to use styled components to style this site. So I did end up getting some of the navigation stuff styled, and my images were like huge. So now they're okay. But I definitely have a lot of styling to do to make this look much better. And I also created like a list of bugs that I noticed and things I need to refactor. So I do have a lot more work to do, and yeah, I totally plan on like continuing to work on this project from here on till whenever. So yeah, that's does anyone have any questions?
Awesome. That looks great. Amazing. Like so much. There's so much working there.
It was a lot. I think I was like doing it and I was like, oh, okay. Like I was like, oh, I need another table for this. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then like in all honesty, when I did that like edit each menu thing, I have that currently that like edit menu page as like one huge component, and it definitely needs to be a bunch of components. So I have a lot of refactoring to do, but I was just like, I got to make this work by Friday, and I'll make it look nice.
Yeah, to work as a thing. Charlie,
Yeah.
How did you do the admin privileges?
How did you, oh, the admin privileges. I had a Boolean value in my user table set to true or false. And if the user is an admin, so if that is true, then I had like conditionally rendering things. So like on like when I log in and you're an admin and I have like my restaurant button pop up, that's conditional rendered like user.admin ? And if it's true, then display like the navigation to look this way. And if it's not, then have it look a different way. And then the only way that you can access that page is by clicking that button. So if it doesn't exist, you cannot make changes to like each menu. And then the same thing with the review button. Like, I don't know if I actually demoed it, but if you're an admin, you don't have access to leaving a review on the restaurants.
Nice.
Yeah.
Other
what restaurant?
questions? That looks great. Oh, how do you know what restaurant they were owner of?
What did I do? I did it was like a show endpoint on my Rails like backend, and it was like find by, yeah, so restaurant belongs to owner, and then I like find by like owner's ID that restaurant. So if the owner ID did not match, then it wouldn't appear in your like my restaurants. Yeah, I have like this like really there's a few things that I need to revisit for sure, and one of them is like at one point I'm fetching like an endpoint using like the 0 index of an array, and if my like user starts having more than one restaurant, then that's going to be an issue. So like there's a lot of things I need to like fix, like if I like build this out even larger, that it definitely needs help. But
Nice.
Yeah.
Looks awesome. Yeah, so much stuff. Any other questions? Cool. Amazing work all around. Give yourselves a round of applause. Super proud of all the work you've done. Yeah. This was your first project solo, so a spectacular amount of stuff done by yourselves. Super great all around. And now you have a better idea of both like how much you can get done by yourself and what things what things are harder and easier for you. So you can consider that going into phase 5, which we're going to get into soon. So yeah, amazing stuff. So good. Let's take a break and we'll come back after lunch. Let's stand down after lunch and I'll talk a little bit about what phase 5 looks like. We'll go from there. Sound good? Awesome. Good stuff, everyone. Thank you for sharing that, and I will see y'all in just a little bit.